Hello Figgy Feeds and Collectors, this is me, Daniel East 1000, back again with the Star Wars The Black Series figure review, and it's been a while since I've said that. We're going to be taking a look at something very, very special today, but first, a moment of your time for me to reflect upon the journey to get to this particular figgy, if you may allow me to. It starts with a story over 15 years ago, where I saw a trailer to a video game. Star Wars The Force Unleashed. I never forget seeing that trailer. I've never been a gamer, but this really did pique my interest. Seeing that Star Destroyer, the opening visual cue from the original trilogy of the Empire's sheer might, being slowly brought down by one individual Force user, all for them to ignite their lightsaber and it to turn red. Shivers. Set between Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Episode 4, A New Hope, you play as Starkiller, Darth Vader's secret apprentice, tasked with hunting down and killing the last remaining Jedi, utilising a plethora of new Force abilities unseen before in the Star Wars universe.
No Jedi in history has ever used the Force in the way that this guy uses the Force. Vader's sort of experimented with this kid to see how far you could take it, and he's taking it to the limit. He's taking it as far as it can go. He's a Force wrecking ball. He's unstoppable.
The game has lots of twists and lots of turns, and after a delay or two of being released, was put onto multiple consoles.
When we first started working on Star Wars The Force Unleashed, we knew we wanted to put it on as many platforms as possible. But we also made the decision to ensure that each platform was going to be unique and different in its own right.
In the run-up to the game's release, naturally there were novelizations, comics, and even a making of an art book released. These are pretty obligatory things, but more remarkably was the cross-promotion, seeing brands such as Wizards of the Coast releasing a campaign guide for their Star Wars role-playing game, and a series of blind box miniatures. WizKids even produced a tin for their pocket model trading card game, featuring beasts and vehicles that would appear in the video game. Lego even threw their hat in the ring, producing a set based on the Rogue Shadow. It included 3 minifigs of Geono Eclipse, Darth Vader, and Starkiller. And well, with all these brand names involved, it's obvious that one would stand amongst them. Hasbro, of which at the time had numerous sublines, including the Titanium diecast series, of which they made a Rogue Shadow for, and within their Unleashed battle packs, they made 2 figure packs, hero and villain flavoured. Of course, Hasbro are more notoriously known for their fantastic 3 3/4 inch figgies, and so they made a series of 6 individual action figures within the last wave of the 30th anniversary collection line. Each of these was packed in with a cheat code so that you could unlock exclusive character skins within the game. Of course, what would they be without a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive and a series, rather plethora, of multi-figure packs. Over the years, Hasbro just couldn't let the Force Unleashed go, until nothing. Although they did do a Starkiller for the Vintage Collection, but that one doesn't really count because that was based on his appearance in Force Unleashed 2, and the less said about that game, the better. Jump forward, and we've now got 6-inch Black Series on the scene. And never in a million years would I think we'd see a Starkiller. That was until round about the release of Star Wars The Last Jedi, where Hasbro revealed a 4-figure pack. And this included one suspiciously familiar grunt from the Force Unleashed video game, the Imperial Shadow Guard. And this made us all think, surely the next Force Unleashed character we would get would be Starkiller. Well, we thought wrong. No, instead we got the Stormtrooper Commander and the Shadow Stormtrooper. Now don't get me wrong, these were great inclusions, and surely with those releases we would get Starkiller. No, we got Imperial Senate Guard, of which I honestly can't remember from the video game, to be perfectly honest, although that's probably because I played the Wii version, and this was more likely a grunt in the other versions of the game. Starkiller was a pretty unanimous choice in our Gaming Greats livestream, And if you haven't checked that out, it's well worth watching.
I feel like Hasbro's constantly sort of teasing us about working on a Starkiller.
Now, it's probably at this point in the video where you're wondering, where are you going with this, Mr. 1000? What's the point of telling me all this?
The journey is usually the part that you remember anyway.
Well, just in the nick of time, Hasbro this year released for the 15th anniversary of Star Wars The Force Unleashed, the main man himself, Starkiller. Oh yeah. Now, there is a peasant version of this release. This is the Hasbro Pulse exclusive box set of this figure, but you can get a standard single version of Starkiller that doesn't come with most of the stuff in this set. So here I am to give you a little bit of a weigh up as to the pros and cons of buying this special edition compared to the standard edition. Let's get cracking with the packaging, of course. And it's, very fancy stuff. So you've got a recreation of the video game box art, just recreated with the figures that you get in this pack. So, of course, you've got Starkiller there, electrocuting some Stormtroopers, using that Force Blast as well. You've got the Force Blast accessory feature there. Just looks really, really super, super cool. Star Wars The Force Unleashed logo at the top. On the side of the box, you've got a rundown of all the figures and the accessories that this special edition pack includes. You've got the same artwork here as well, except on this side, I'm assuming this is probably actually the front. You've got the Hasbro logo and the warning McGuffle age rating as well, but pretty much the same as the back or the front, however you want to see it. And then on this side, you've got a little bit of a bio, of which you can read if you do so wish. I will include it in the description. Star Wars The Black Series and Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Some legal McGuffle at the bottom there as well. Kind of interesting that they missed the Gaming Greats sticker on this, but the standard release of this figure does actually feature that notation. Of course, the box, we can show you, does actually slip and slide out. So you've got the picture there on the reverse side, and then of course where the figures would sit. But of course I was very, very excited. I got everything out because I got this for Christmas. I wanted to play with this on Christmas Day. So yeah, you've got where the figures would sit. The Stormtroopers sit on the side parts here, and then dead center you would have Starkiller. I'll throw a picture up there as to how it would look in the box. You've got some accessories as well. It's also worth noting as well that all the other accessories are stored inside the bigger part of the box and are put inside baggies. So it's always worth checking those accessories over to what's shown on the side, just to make sure that you've got everything. There's a bit of, cataloguing. So yeah, really, really lovely, lovely packaging. I think it does add a bit of finesse to this release, but the real question is, how do the figgies hold up? So let's take a look at them now, shall we? Of course, we'll be taking a look at the Stormtrooper, and a lot of people will probably be thinking, Mr. 1000, you are probably all Stormtroopered out. Well,
go yourself.
I'm actually not. I bloody love this Stormtrooper sculpt. It's absolutely fantastic. I will not be dwelling too much on these two figures because they are both identical, and I've already reviewed the version of this Stormtrooper on my channel. So link will be up there if you do want to check that out. They're nice. They're really nice, really articulated. They just look pretty damn accurate as to how you would see Stormtroopers in the film, and the nice representations for the purposes of the video game from Force Unleashed. Of course, they come with the standard Stormtrooper blaster. You get 2 of those, 1 for each Stormtrooper. Now, with that being said, I would have really liked it if Hasbro pushed the boat out a little bit and either include some additional accessories to them in terms of some alternative blasters, or what would have been really nice is if they did a repaint. Now, I know we've already had the Stormtrooper Commander, but to have the Stormtrooper Commander repainted using this particular mould of the Stormtrooper would have been nice, because That original Stormtrooper mold they used, a little bit dated now. As much as I do like that mould, it doesn't hold a candle to this one. Nonetheless though, really like these boys. I'm just going to quickly run through articulation. They have ball jointed head, ball jointed neck, butterfly joints to the shoulders, ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed wrists, ball jointed torso, ball joints to the hips, swivels at the tops of the thighs, ball jointed knees, and ball jointed ankles with the rocker joints. So you can get these guys in some really good poses, and that's what you need when you're going to have these posed up with Starkiller, because obviously you want him to fling these boys about. You want him to rough them up a little bit. So yeah, they're perfect for that. And that's all I've really got to say on the matter with these two. So here we have Starkiller, aka Darth Vader's secret apprentice, aka Galen Marek, which was what he was known as. It's his actual name. I think they could have maybe picked something better, but nonetheless, I love this boy. What an awesome figgy. So I've got him displayed with just the bog standard stuff. If you were to buy the standard edition of this figgy, this is how he would come. It would just come with the lightsaber and nothing else. Just that's it. That being said, having additions is always lovely if you're willing to pay the price for it, of which we will touch on later. But if you are looking just for a standard Starkiller, just to have him on your shelf, you are going to be absolutely buzzing your nuts off with this guy, because he is absolutely brilliant. Hasbro's been putting out a lot of fantastic Star Wars The Black Series figures. Unfortunately, I've not had the chance to review them all, but I'm so glad to be reviewing this one, because this is a figure that I've been waiting years on to get, and if I got the standard release, I would have been really happy, but to have the deluxe, chef's kiss, that's all I can say. But if we just have a look, if you were just to get him as the standard figgy, really nice stuff going on. Of course, that head sculpt is absolutely remarkable. Really good likeness to Sam Witwer, the actor or motion caption actor of the character. You've got his armor plating, that iconic armor, looking really cool. His sleeves just look ripped and tattered, and especially on this arm you can see a bit of blood seeping through there, and also on the other arm as well, bit of blood going on the underside. You've got the wrappings going on the hands. You've got some sort of communicator on the wrist as well. I think it's this side actually. Really cool. Of course, what leads me to believe they will probably do another version of Starkiller later on is this particular part of the attire that he's wearing. So you've got these slots or peg holes where not only can you fit the actual lightsaber into, or the hilt itself, just on the back there's loads of peg holes where you can collect lightsabers on there. So if you did wish, you can take some other lightsaber hilts, some spares, and put them on as if he's been collecting them. You can certainly do that, but I really do think they'll probably do a Sith Stalker armor version of Starkiller, of which, in an alternative ending, Starkiller becomes a Sith Lord and gains the Sith Stalker armor, and as such, on the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions of the game, downloadable content was made where you can play alternative scenarios to the films. So I do think we may see the Sith Stalker armor at some point, and I hope that is the case. But nonetheless, belt looks great. You've got some very tattered looking sort of tunic. And then on the bottom, of course, you got the legs and the foot wrappings on the shoes. Just looks really accurate. I would say this is the definitive version of Starkiller, particularly from the first game. The 3 3/4 inch version of Starkiller that we got was more so based on concept art, so naturally it wasn't as accurate as they could make it. But now, after several years have passed, several advancements certainly as well in terms of sculpting and making figures, and this is what they've got, and I am thrilled to bits to have this in my collection. It's so accurate. They've done an amazing job with this guy. Now, this is, like I said, how he would appear if you just bought the standard edition, but with the exclusive edition, you've got a fair few extras. So naturally, you've got the lightsaber and the hilt. Now you can take the blade out, so you can have him displayed with the lightsaber unignited and attached onto any of those holes on his belt there. Now, not only that, as you did see, you can remove the blade from there, and he comes with some additional lightsaber blades. So one of them is actually this motion blur lightsaber, of which we saw included with Count Dooku, but you can attach this into his lightsaber, so you can give it a bit of a motion blur effect. It's very difficult to actually get that in, just because I don't think it's really been designed for this specific lightsaber, but you can kind of get it to sit in there. And it's nice that they've included that. It does give it some motion for, you know, your display options. But not only that, if you did want Starkiller to be a good guy, you can give him the blue lightsaber, which is a really nice inclusion. And not only that, it does come with the blue motion blur as well. And again, it doesn't quite fit in there particularly well, but you can get it to sit in there, and it does look quite good. I go with the classic red just because that's what I relate to Starkiller really, but it is entirely up to you. Something that's a little bit disappointing is the fact that you just get one lightsaber hilt. It would have been cool if it did come with some additional hilts, particularly if you did want to put them on the belt there, as if he's collected some lightsabers. But it is what it is, it's fine. Now, not only that, he does come with some alternative head sculpts. So you've got the standard one, of which is just the neutral sort of facial expression. But alternatively, if we just pop this off, he does come with a grimacing sort of face. Looks very, very angry. Or alternatively, the shouting face. As if he's really channeling that dark side energy. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. I love that it gave you options for different head sculpts, for different looks. Just really, really cool that they've included those options for you. And to be honest, for me, it does incentivize getting the standard edition just so I can have this with different options applied. That's not all. He does come with some interchangeable hands. Mainly these are force posy. He comes with 2 left and 2 right. And furthermore, if we just remove his hands, he does also come with force lightning, of which you can have in both hands. And I think that's absolutely awesome, particularly with that head sculpt where he's screaming. So cool. You can kind of wrap these around the Stormtroopers, and it just adds so much great effect and display options to this guy. So you can really recreate that front cover with a little bit of work. The lightning hands aren't really designed to hold the lightsaber as well, but you can kind of bodge it by just threading the hilt through the fingertips. And it kind of works, even if it does look slightly awkward. Now, not only that, he does come with, and this is probably the weakest accessory in my opinion, this Force Blast hand, of which isn't posable. It's just a solid hand like that. There's no sort of articulation in the wrist, but it does have this Force Blast effect. I don't really know, it doesn't look particularly great, and I can't really see myself using that. But again, it's a nice little addition that they did include that. It's options, and I really do appreciate that when Hasbro gives you options, and it would have been nice to have seen this, particularly just as a regular deluxe release. As much as I like the single standard version, and people have the opportunity to get that, I do think they were a little bit stingy by not giving it just a couple of additional extras with that standard release, or even if they just made it a deluxe. But nonetheless, the last thing that this figure does come with requires a bit of assembly, and it is this Force Blast effect. So it's a sort of base that you can have the figure standing on. You've got 3 points of peggery, if that's even a word. But no, you got these pegs for the feet that you can have the figure standing on, and that certainly keeps him in position when you're trying to get him to do different poses. But these blast effects, these are all separate, and they just slot in very specifically onto the base. So there's 4 parts to this. You've got these blast effect pieces, 3 of those, and then the base itself, of which they just sit in. I think this is a really cool feature that Hasbro included, very much appreciated. And well, that's basically it in terms of accessories. In terms of articulation, he has a ball jointed head, a ball jointed neck, butterfly joints in the shoulders, ball joints in the shoulders as well, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed wrists, ball jointed torso, ball jointed hips, ball jointed knees, ball jointed ankles with the rocker joints. So you can get this guy in all the poses that you need to get him in. So that's my look of Starkiller over and done with. Let's go to my closing thoughts. I'm pretty positive about this set, although I do have to say that it is grossly overpriced. The Stormtroopers you can get for about £20 a piece. Starkiller does feel, with the additional accessories, a little bit more than a deluxe, so I would price him at about 50 quid would be fair. But it doesn't quite make the £109 price tag. I think there could have been some little additions that maybe could have been included just to make it reach the price threshold of £109. Nonetheless though, you could also factor in that this is an exclusive, and Hasbro do always love to jack the price up on exclusives. To be honest, when they first announced that they were doing this, I had a real gut feeling that they were going to turn around and say, no, we're not going to do a standard release of Starkiller, because the price tag on this would have forced people to buy this set if they really, really wanted him. Luckily that wasn't the case, and they did do a standard release. So if you do want just a Starkiller and you're not fussed about the fluff that this box set comes with, just go for the standard release. If, however, you have a real affinity for Star Wars The Force Unleashed, you are definitely going to want to pick this up. I'm really glad that I have this in my collection. I love the additions. While the Stormtroopers, yes, are a little bit basic, there's nothing particularly new to them, they're a nice inclusion, and you can never have enough Stormtroopers. But the cherry on this cake is having Starkiller, and what an amazing job Hasbro did on that guy. Honestly, I've really enjoyed posing these figures up, playing with them. I felt like a kid having this box set, and it's just unlocked all the memories of playing that game and the joy that that story brought to me. I'm really, really pleased to own this set. Yes, it could have been a lot less price-wise, and I'd be curious to see if this does come down in price later on. In some instances, you just don't want to run that risk. Listen, it's down to you and your mileage, your affiliation to The Force Unleashed. Let me know what you guys think of this box set in the comments down below. And well, this is me, Daniel East 1000, signing out, and thank you very much for watching.